So we in the financial space, we have been able to use the future of work and the tools that we've been able to generate or develop, looking at the whole scenario of the COVID thing that we just experienced, to build products that is really tailored to the everyday need.
So, hi everybody. I'm Samaya Alshavini from Opus Talent Analytics, and this is the Executive Corner podcast. Today, we're talking with Sabastine Enechi, who's the Vice President of Payments of Alerzo. Sebastian was an ex-co-founder of Shagu Payments, which was acquired by Alerzo, and they're based in Nigeria. As a co-founder of an exited company, Sebastian is an expert in the fintech space with stories and lots of stories about success and disparity in the space related to people and in the space related to data and information about the people space. We're going to be talking about the phrase of future of work and what it means from Sebastian's point of view. If I elaborate a little bit about what that means, it can go two ways. It was either something that started to appear in our world when COVID hit, and it was pushing us towards something that was completely new for everyone, which is remote working. And then there's a second angle of it, which is the introduction of a lot of diversity in the workforce. And diversity does not only mean in the sense of age only or style of thinking, but diversity in terms of priorities. So how do we create workspaces that allow and capture the essence of what people bring into the work they do every day? And more profoundly, how does that impact innovation? How does that impact engagement? How does that impact the ability of a company to deliver on its priorities? So let's say if you're a company and you're in the innovation space, everyone now is in the innovation space. If you're a legacy industry, you're impacted by innovation in one way or another. Because believe it or not, everyone is worried about the big question: will we be replaced by AI? I invite innovative leaders to share how they think about this from a lens of the future of work. Sebastian, we're excited to have you.
Thank you very much, Sumaya. Good to be here.
Super. So I want to start with the clarifying question. From your perspective, what is future of work?
Okay, good. Thank you. The future of work for me, being Sebastian and also being a tech enthusiast and also a payment expert, I see the future of work as a scenario where, or as a world where technology drives everything that has to do with workspace. How we work, how we do things from the office perspective, in the office or out of the office perspective, will be driven by technology. We all know that technology is going to take, let's say, the best part of how we do things in real life scenario on Earth. But COVID, like you mentioned, has helped driven this whole plan and purpose faster than we expect. We know that technology is going to come this by we have the AI, we have the robotics, we have data-driven decision-making tools and applications. But we're expecting it to be in the year, let's say 2050, 2060. But COVID has helped fast track everything that we're looking at in the futuristic part into the now, because it has given us the sense of urgency in terms of how we drive, how we do things, how we make decisions, and how we put it in place. So COVID has given us a sense of urgency, knowing fully well that we don't really need to rely on face-to-face human interaction or physical engagement before we can move forward as a people. So I think the future of work for me is a scenario where end-to-end of how we do things in the workplace is done either remotely or through applications or through via robotic engines. Yeah.
Perfect. And I would add to what you just said. You're in an industry, believe it or not, the financial industry was one of the quote unquote legacy industries. They were very late in tech adoption. And now they're spearheading the change that's happening in terms of the types of jobs that are coming in, the types of skills that are required. So from your perspective, being in the fintech space and really witnessing it day in, day out, do you feel that this is true? Is it going to continue?
Yes, I think I'm 100% certain that this is going to continue, and it's going to continue even faster than we are experiencing now. We're experiencing the growth and the speed of technology adoption in fintech space today because of the need for it, because of the urgency of what COVID has left us behind with, right? But getting this understanding and getting to experience the benefits of technology in payments, is going to enable us to do more because we have seen the reality of things. We have seen how far technology can help drive financial inclusion, financial decisions, financial advisories today, and it's actually happening. And with the penetration of technology, with better IT infrastructure, with better data penetration into the rural areas and hinterlands, I think financial technology is going to experience more growth coupled with the future of work that's actually happening. So the future of work is no longer, for me, I don't see it as a future of work. I see it as the future of work in the now, because the now is the future. So I think the financial space is actually in the forefront of driving this whole activity, because the world today was made out is should I say, it's a factor of buying and selling. So either you're buying with cash or you're trading one thing for the other, but at the end of the day, there's an exchange, right? So we in the financial space, we have been able to use the future of work and the tools that we've been able to generate or develop, looking at the whole scenario of the COVID thing that we just experienced, to build products that is really tailored to the everyday need. Those products are actually not tech dependencies. They are products that actually depend on the ability for you to want to do transactions. Either you are a tech person or not, we have the fintech space or the fintech experts have been able to build product that is related to everybody's need. So be it the class A guy or the class E guy, everybody has something to experience and to enjoy in the payments using the future of work as a yardstick. Yeah.
Yeah. And, one of the interesting things that I hear from our clients in the banking industry, as an example, is that they feel that they need to learn new things, new skills. They need to build new muscles. And they worry. And I'm just kind of thinking and remembering some of the discussions that I was having. There's a lot of anxiety about how will we be able to adapt faster than need be? So if I think of someone who needs to have certain skills, is it about having these skills in the short term, or does it need to be fast tracked? Do people need to build skills faster than they can really develop them? So there's a lot of notion around how do we use things, complementing things like AI, to make us faster, smarter, and more equipped, and therefore more skilled to be able to face these challenges.
Yeah, so I think the guys in the banking and payments industry today need to build faster skills. So they need to be fast in skills acquisition and learning, because technology is not waiting for anyone, right? So what you think, if you want to become an expert and take your time to learn one thing, there are over 100 of different things that will do what you're sitting on trying to figure out, right? So the faster we adopt to new technology, the better for us, because as we're churning out new technologies, a lot of the ones that are out are going obsolete because we keep enhancing, right? So technology is all about enhancement. So you need to learn and you need to learn fast. So for example, using Chat GPT, using the AI analytic skills, you don't need to sit down on Excel like trying to figure everything in Excel. So there are analytical products that already it's just for you to drop in your data and they'll help you analyze. So you don't need to waste much time on that. So you need to learn soft skills and smart skills, and you need to be fast about that and very deliberate about that as well.
Yeah. And here's the interesting point. We're in a young continent. We're probably the youngest continent on the globe. And we're fortunate enough that we have a lot of appetite for technology across the different geographies of Africa. And yet, because of this future of work change, the remote working setup, it's kind of almost created a brain drain. So people are, working remotely for companies that are in different continents, and they're home, they're comfy in, in their own way of, or in their own style of work, but from a disadvantage to the continent and to the businesses in the continent. How do you see that, and how do you deal with that?
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So from brain drain or from talent scoping perspective, I'd see it into perspective in two ways, right? So the future of work has helped create a balance, or should I say, a midpoint where talent can crossbreed in the sense that you can have someone in the remote part of Africa uh, working for a multinational in US or in Europe, right? So it helps them to get more skills to be in the future, right? Because in their present environment, the challenges might be minimal, but these challenges that we are experiencing in the African part of the world might have been overcome maybe 15 years ago in the European world, right? So it helps our talents here understand the future of where we are trying to go into. Number one, but number the offside of it is that it keeps the talents off the radar from actually the real thing, like, okay, this is where you belong, this is what you need to do, the skills you learned you need to be able to use to at least grow your own continent. But they get carried away looking for on the fact that they're paid in dollars as compared to you paying in your local currency here in Africa, right? So when you look at the exchange rate today, you see that the appetite to focus more on the outside world will be better for them because they earn more from that part. But in terms of experience and skill sets, they'll gain more knowledge because they're actually working co-working with better experiences and better working environments compared to what we have here in Africa.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always an advantage and a disadvantage. I totally agree, and I see both sides of the spectrum. But for me, what I think, for if we were giving, advice to business owners in this forum, I think it's super, super important for businesses to understand that as you understand and predict things like financial models, or you use things like marketing tools to understand the capability of your sales engine, you have to start using things that point you towards issues that could arise before they happen. Like we were just saying, if people are going to leave you, then you'll start having a leaking bucket syndrome. You'll have retention, and you will start to have issues. How do you preempt and know in advance before this happens so that you're able to be ready? I think those are some of the interesting things and interesting questions.
Yeah, so as a business owner, so I think first of all, you need to build your business around. You need to have a redundancy plan for your talents, right? And also, you need to create an environment where everything does not just sit on one person's decks, right? So you need to be able to project manage your resources, especially your talent resources, is very, very key. So
Yeah.
we need to have that redundancy plan where people are allowed to go and leave and business continues. People are allowed to multitask and do other things, and business continues. So with that, so the talent crop that you have within your organization also understands that, okay, we need to have knowledge sharing sessions. We need to have sessions where which does not depend on Sebastian, right? So if I'm being carried away, or if I'm doing something, maybe I'm on leave or something, there's one or two or three other persons that can fit in and do perfectly, even better than I can do. So once we have that project management process in place for our talents, then we should be able to guide or perceive if there is going to be some form of leaking buckets around our talent or talent resources.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a really, really important point, right? Because you have to have effective processes, but you have to also ensure that you're using the smartness of all the tools that are now coming up and popping up around performance management, around engagement, around even succession planning, even if you have a small team. But how do you prepare, and how do you recruit ahead of the needs? How do you build skills and capacities before you need the skills and capacities? So I think you're absolutely right. Having a plan is super, super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, this is really good insight. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I want to ask you one last thing. If you can leave us with a voice of wisdom, something that we will hold true from this discussion, what would that be?
Okay, so if I give my point is going to be hammering on how to grow Africa, right, and how to use the future of work to grow Africa. So future of work grow Africa can be in several ways, and we can look at what is our continental need. Today we have challenges around lending. We have challenges around microcredits. That's in the financial space. I'm talking about the financial space where I sit in. We have challenges around fundraising. We have challenges around data usage, how to get more data insight, more insight in data that we pass across. So if we can leverage on tools that are out there in the Western world and bring them down here in Africa, we can make better decisions for credit rating or credit scoring for you to get loans. For like example, the agri sector in Africa needs more funding, but their credit scoring is actually not. There's no data to score them. So we need to be able to use the future of work, get more insight around the tools that are available out there, plug them into what we have locally here to make better decisions. And also, I would want to talk to the youth of Africa to say, this is the time for us to grab more, learn more, and be fast about it, because the what we're experiencing today, I think most of the technology that we're enjoying here today in Africa, the Western world have seen it 15, 20 years ago. So now this is our time to be able to, since we have the opportunity to commingle with them, to co-work with the Western world using the future of work experience as regards to the remote working. Let's learn more from these guys so we can better our continent.
Well said. Thank you for the last word. You've heard it from Sebastian. It's been a pleasure having you. Please keep tuning in to Executive Corner, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.